more. I need something. No, I think it's good to hear. That's, I can't, that's, all right, good. Okay, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Two Rivers Unitarian Universalist Community. I'm Ron Kokish, and I will be your worship associate this morning. It's my first time doing this, so please forgive me if things don't go as smoothly as usual. Yeah, but I got to be able to see this group. I don't want this thing. Yeah, see, there already things aren't going as smoothly as usual.
They're going fine, Ron.
And to make things worse, our AV guy for the remote is also on his first time. Will is helping us out. So we're really in trouble this morning, but we'll make it. Our worship theme for June is freedom. And we're delighted to have Caleb Waller. Caleb, right here in the front. Okay. Caleb is joining us for Social Justice Sunday, and he'll be talking about a conservative's view of social justice, exploring common ground. Another first. So True is proud to be an open-minded community of brave, curious, and compassionate thinkers and doers. We're diverse in faith, ethnicity, history, and spirituality, but aligned in our desire to make a difference for the good. We've invited Caleb to offer us an opportunity to practice listening with curiosity and understanding by talking with us about his views of what a socially just world would look like and ways he thinks we can move closer to making that world a reality. Do we have any guests in the room who are here for the first or second time who would like to introduce themselves? Please.
I'm Catherine Ring, and this is Charlie, my other half.
The lesser half.
Huh?
He knows his place. We're here from Northern Virginia. We go to the Bull Run Unitarian Universalist congregation here, and we like to visit others. We have family down.
Welcome to True. And do we have any people online? If we do, please introduce yourselves in the chat, and we'll get to you in a minute. Now, where am I up to on this script? Oh yeah, if you want to sit quietly, you can do that too. We're glad you're here. We really are glad you're here, everybody. We have an announcement from Steve from 350.org. Are you here, Steve? Please stand up and tell us what you're up to.
Good morning. Good morning, Steve. I was looking for a t-shirt to wear this morning. I knew I was coming, and then I pulled this one out. Erin Williamson and her. The reason why I wanted just a brief minute to address it all is we have been working on a promotion to get a town hall in the Roaring Fork Valley. And it's been almost impossible to get a response from our elected official, especially our congressman. A lot of people, as I've been passing the petition around, have been saying the same thing. So I'd just like to ask everyone, if you're interested, and of course the Free Society, on the back page we have the petitions back there, and you can sign your name. I will tell you so far I'm up to 325 names. So we get it up a little bit higher, we're going to bring it to our local commissioners' offices. We have 3 different counties that we can bring it to. And I just want to just maybe, I used to lead meditation, and maybe you want to close your eyes just for a quick Imagine a space where we can all gather, air our thoughts, find common ground, and build a stronger, more inclusive future for the Roaring Fork Valley. It's not just about voicing opinions, it's about weaving our community's diverse threads into a cohesive, resilient fabric. Thank you for the moment that I have to this. If you have any questions, I'll be around later.
Okay. All right. And for everyone who's a little new here, whether in the room or on the chat, if you would like to connect to our community, please leave contact information on the back of the order of service or in the chat. And we also invite those with pastoral and caring committee concerns to use the back of the order of service as well. You can put those in the offering basket when it comes around, or you can leave them on the table by the door. Will, do we have anyone in the chat we want to acknowledge? No? Okay. So finally, I want to express our gratitude to Liza Ferrier for serving as a setup host, and to Cindy and Nett and Joe Markham, our coffee hosts. Thank you to our music directors, Misha and Paul, and much gratitude to Will Hodges for taking over for Andrew this morning and shepherding those joining us remotely via Zoom and YouTube. I want to invite your attention to the announcements in the order of service, and while I have your attention, I want to highlight circle suppers. Personally, Nikki and I have hosted several. We've been to many others, and we've always really had a truly wonderful time. We get to know our fellow Unitarians in ways that just aren't possible in this bigger room. If you think you might be interested in hosting one, please see Larry Bogatz, who, as always, is coordinating them. And if you are thinking about hosting one but aren't sure, see Nikki or I, and we'll tell you about the ways in which we do it and the kind of experience you might expect, and we'll have some tips for you maybe on how you might go about it. As customary, we will remain seated throughout the service so that everyone can have a reasonable view of the slides. And now please silence your phones, watches, and such as we move into worship with a musical prelude by Misha and Paul.
Striking matches on the TV, setting fires on our phones, bearing crosses we believe in, dying on. Tempers flare, the flames fly higher as we soar closer towards the sun. But I like to think too much damage ain't been done. We're so far apart now. It's as deep as it is wide. We're about to fall apart now. If we can't reach the other side, we gotta find way across the great divide. Sometimes it seems that our convictions, side of the fence that we stand on, makes us all too damn different to get along. But I've seen strangers love each other like a mother does her son. What we see ain't only all that's going on. We're so far apart now. It's as deep as it is wide. We're about to fall apart now. If we can't reach the other side, we gotta find a way across the great divide. We're so far apart now. It's as deep as it is wide. We're about to fall apart now. If we can't reach the other side, we gotta find a way across the great divide. The great divide.
All right, and this morning, the words of our chalice lighting, Nikki, if you would, thank you. These words come from one of Caleb's heroes, actually, William Wilberforce. We have different forms assigned to us in the school of life, different gifts imparted. All is not attractive that is good. Iron is useful, though it does not sparkle like the diamond. Gold has not the fragrance of a flower. So different persons have various modes of excellence, and we must have an eye to all. And now our opening hymn, which I have to say this morning is strictly inspirational. I'm sorry, well, it is inspirational, but I meant to say aspirational. Oh.
Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Gonna study war no more. I ain't 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 gonna study war no more. I'm gonna lay down my burden down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my burden down by the riverside. Gonna study war no more. I ain't 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 gonna study war no more. I'm gonna shake hands around the world, everywhere I roam, everywhere I roam, everywhere I roam. Gonna shake hands around the world, everywhere I roam. Gonna study war no more. I ain't 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 gonna study war no more.
now let's speak our unison covenant. Love is the spirit of this community, and service is its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
This is the time in our service when we honor and acknowledge those who we hold in our hearts this morning who are not here in this space. Those we love who are facing challenges, those we love who are celebrating milestones, those we love who have passed away. By saying their names in this space, the true community can hold your sorrow or joy as well. Please speak their names now so that everyone can hear. Will, do we have any names in the chat to? Okay. And all those who have not been named, you also are in our hearts. Music.
Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka 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 samastam 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 sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
I see the problem. It doesn't want to stay up.
No, just don't twist up here.
Twist. Oh, but then yeah, that's that way. Okay.
Because otherwise it won't be stable.
All right. Anyway, I got a microphone in my face. This sort of feels like a repeat because Caleb and I, 2 weeks ago, recorded something on KD&K that just played on Friday night. Some of you may have heard it. If not, it was about a liberal and a conservative coming together to find common ground, and I can send you the link if you're interested. Since our topic today is a conservative view of social justice, exploring common ground, we thought it would be a good idea to review the beliefs of Unitarian Universalists in general and end with the Two Rivers Unitarian Universalist in particular. This review may be helpful to look for common ground when Caleb speaks. We'll start with our 7 principles. The inherent worth and dignity of every person. Justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. The third is acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. The fourth, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The fifth, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. The sixth, the goal of the world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. The seventh, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Now, those are our 7 principles, and then we also have sources that we look to find wisdom and meaning. The first one, direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of spirit and openness to the forces which create and uphold life. The second, words and deeds of prophetic people, which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. The next, wisdom from the world's religions, which inspire us in all our ethical and spiritual life. The next, Jewish and Christian teachings, which call us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves. Then, humanist teachings, which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and the results of science, and warn us against idolatries of the mind and spirit. The last one, spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions, which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. I actually feel pretty proud to be a Unitarian Universalist when I think about all those. Also, the UUA Social Justice Committee studies our beliefs and makes statements on current issues. There are too many to go through, but I want to give you a few examples. Embracing transgender, non-binary, intersex, and gender-diverse people in a fundamental expression of UU religious values. Another one, The World on Fire, Humanitarian Work and Climate Change, 2024 Action of Immediate Witness. Another one, Solidarity with Palestine's 2024 Action of Immediate Witness. Yet another, UUA General Assembly Support for the October 7th Hostages 2024 Responsive Resolution. So that's an example of Unitarian Universalism in general. Here are two Unitarian Universalist explanations of who we are, the Two Rivers Unitarian Universalist. True is a beacon of liberal religion in the Roaring Fork Valley and beyond. Our congregation is diverse in faith, ethnicity, I wish, history, and spirituality, yet united in our commitment to making a positive impact on the world. We believe in thinking for ourselves, embracing life's uncertainties, and building a larger truth through our shared experiences. And here is our mission statement: to provide a vibrant and sustainable spiritual institution that is a caring and open-minded community dedicated to the exploration of ethics, values, life choices, and social justice, and is a springboard for personal and societal transformation. And now Nikki Delson is going to introduce our speaker, Caleb Waller.
Is that good? Yes. Okay. So I feel honored to have the pleasure of introducing Caleb, and I want to tell you about how I met him. So last year, about a year ago, maybe a little bit more, following a remarkable series of local discussions between the Jewish community and Palestinian supporters, a few friends got together wondering if we could bring that same spirit of listening to the increasingly toxic and polarized political landscape. We hit a wall. Not one of us had a meaningful relationship with a conservative. Not one of us. We lived in a left-leaning, independent, and progressive bubble. I walked away disheartened and a little annoyed with myself. Then, in March of this year, I came across Caleb Waller's article in the Post-Independent. I have to tell you that I never met Caleb at all, and I knew nothing about him. But his article spoke to me. The name of the article was "A House Divided: How Political Parties Have Fueled America's Deepest Divisions." This is a quote. "I'm a Republican, not because of any one person, but because I believe in a set of values. We've moved beyond disagreeing on policy. Now we question each other's basic morality. Republicans are labeled as fascists, racists, or extremists. Democrats are branded as communists and baby killers. We don't argue ideas, we argue identity. We attack identities. Caleb was saying publicly what I was thinking and what I was saying privately. And I wanted to get to know him better. So I called and I introduced myself and I asked him out for coffee. He immediately agreed, and we scheduled an hour. We had no agenda, no goal, just a genuine desire to have a civil conversation. When I told Ron about it, he asked to join us. Instead of an hour, we talked for over 2 and stopped only because Ron had another appointment that he had to get to. Apparently, this meeting this morning is noteworthy. It was discussed on KDNK on Friday, and the Sopris Sun mentioned it. And I asked myself last night, why? Why is it so unusual for a conservative to share ideas with liberals who listen with interest and with respect? What does it say about our country that what was not so long ago an everyday occurrence that has now become noteworthy? Still, notable or not, I am extremely grateful to the Social Justice Committee and to the UU congregation for inviting him to speak today and listening with open minds and hearts. Please join me in welcoming Caleb Heller.
Check. Can you guys hear me there? Awesome. Thank you, Nikki. That was fantastic. And the conversation definitely could have went on for a long time. And it's just, there's so much common ground that we have, right? And I think that's something maybe we don't fully understand until we start having those conversations. But, you know, my wife and I just got back from a trip from Hawaii. So it was super fun. We took all 7 of our kids. We were there and stuff. And we were visiting one of the sacred sites there. And as we were walking around the site, we saw that there was these signs that said, "No loud laughter allowed." And we were a bit puzzled by it. And we were like, so I got in closer and I read the fine print. And they said the only laughter allowed is a aloha. Figured you guys got that one. Good, John. Break the ice a little bit. But we did just get back from Hawaii, but I just had to throw that in there for the fun. So, wow. When I was asking my conservative buddies about coming and speaking here, they were like, no offense, but how did you get that invitation? Like, well, what do they expect to hear from you? And when I told them especially the topic, they were like, a conservative's approach. And when I accepted the invitation, I didn't quite realize what it was going to be like, to be honest with you, because as I dove into what is a conservative's approach to social justice, to be honest with you, I didn't know. I didn't have an answer to it, right? And so just exploring this and going down the journey that I've been on has been amazing. And so if anything, it's been a really awesome self-discovery for myself. And I really enjoyed the conversation that I had with Paul and Peter and Jennifer the other day on KDNK. And it was just, there's something powerful that happens when you walk into the room saying, I want to understand this, right? And a disclaimer here, guys, I grew up a Amish kid just outside Nashville, Tennessee, and we had a little small roadside stand. I'm one of 11 siblings, very strong conservative home. My first introduction to politics was when I saw my granddad crying one time when a president was getting nominated. I forgot which one it was, but it was something that I said to myself, if it's important to him, it's important to me. And it was something deep down inside of us. There was like this patriotism, there was this love for our country that was there, right? And it's been fascinating to me as I've had these conversations, because I would say from a conservative's perspective, a label that they would potentially put on this crowd, which you guys don't love our country, right? Do you love our country? Yes, you love our country, right? Your way of expressing it may be different, right? Maybe you don't feel the same level of pride that maybe I would feel that we just blew the hell out of the Iranians. No, you don't feel that pride, right? No. But conservatives might feel that, right? Because we're eradicating evil in the world, right? That would be maybe our approach to that. But the Unitarian concept is, do you realize the repercussions of that and the shockwaves that's sending around the world? Is that bringing positive into the world, or is it bringing negative into the world? Are we creating more war, or are we eradicating war? So this is why it's so vital to have conversations, because in my mind, as a conservative, I would say that act was an act to eradicate war, right? Hopefully it's going to end a potential really bad situation. That would be my approach, right? versus from a liberal's perspective, they would say, Caleb, you're basically initiating war. You're the aggressor. We aren't aggressive. Are we on the same page here, right? Having the conversation? So, when it comes to social justice, I would be wrong in not first addressing the injustices of our past. Because the only way to truly bring change is to recognize that we as Americans have had major issues in our history. I think I'm in a crowd that would agree with that, correct? Can't talk about, I believe that we don't talk about the horrors of slavery enough, to be honest with you, right? It's become a subject that we can't seem to discuss because it gets too emotional, too sensitive, and then ultimately we just kind of try to push it to the back shelf, and then by trying to push the conversation away because it's a hard conversation to have, it means that we're not addressing real issues that need to be addressed, right? Second thing we have, obviously here in western Colorado, we've displaced a lot of Native Americans that lived here, right? It's something in history that we have to address, that was an injustice that we did. Now, how do we fix it, right? We'll get to that later on, because I believe there is hope. Because as a young man, when I was 14 years old, I came face to face with what I believe was one of the biggest social injustices that was done by the Christian community. When I was 14, I went and began volunteering in Israel. And I remember riding on a bus one day, and I was sitting next to a Jewish man, and he says to me, he says, so you're a Christian that's here volunteering to help the Jewish people, right? And he said to me, why would you do that? And I said, well, because I love people, and I love the Jewish people, right? I love the nation of Israel, right? And he said, my grandfather told me stories of how around the Christmas season in, I think it was Czechoslovakia, I believe it was, his family would bar the doors at night and hide in fear in the closet, just waiting for the local Christian community to come and break down their doors and drag their families and their children into the streets to beat them because of the way the pastors would incite their families, incite their congregants. As a 14-year-old boy, how do I carry that label as a Christian to think that my community treated the Jewish community with such injustice, right? And all I could say there on the bus was, number one, I'm sorry, and I hope that in this conversation we can begin one step forward towards building trust again. It doesn't happen overnight, and this person, I guarantee you, getting off that bus didn't say, Caleb, man, I trust you now, and we're buddies. It's not how it works. Social justice is a process, and it's something that we have to have the patience and the maturity to navigate those conversations, right? And so that began my journey of understanding how history can massively affect where we are today. Obviously, the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II, that was an injustice. We put people in internment camps that shouldn't have been there. I grew up in the South, so I'm familiar with Jim Crow laws, legalizing racism, right? It's an injustice that we had in our society that we cannot allow to be buried in the pages of history. We did it, we take responsibility for it, and we will do better, right? Obviously, red line policies that kept black communities and families away from homeownership. We did it, we take responsibility for it, and we'll do better, right? We're not gonna try to bury it and act like it didn't happen. Quote here says, we can't move forward unless we're willing to look back and say honestly, that was unjust, that wasn't who we were meant to be, right? And you guys might think it's puzzling. Caleb's a conservative here. Why is he addressing these things? Because you may think that many people in the conservative community just want to forget it. We don't want to talk about this stuff. To be honest with you, we don't know how. Because we can't carry this burden of our, because like, it's maybe a statement you may hear is, that's not me, right? And it isn't me. That's the reality. I love people and I want to see everyone succeed, right? But for some reason, I feel like there's this like burden that we kind of have to be like, how do we how do we move forward, right? And mentioned earlier that about William Wilberforce. But do you know who was William Wilberforce's direct mentor? It was a guy named John Newton. You know who John Newton was? Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Why is that? Even non-Christians around the world, that song shook the globe, right? Second verse is, 'twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace will lead me home. Did I say that right? I didn't sing it right. Anyways, but the concept is this, guys. Do you realize the awakening of understanding what John Newton was doing on the deck of that slave ship is he realized that there was hope. Even though he had done the worst, he simply had an epiphany moment and he dedicated his life to eradicate slavery. He was a social justice warrior. And that song still rings through churches and people around the world today, I believe, as an anthem of what it means is what grace could look like, right? And a lot of people want to turn that into a Christian song, in which it was. But ultimately, can you imagine what that song, what he was really singing about there, was, I've now seen. Do any of you guys in this room feel like you've seen something? And that God's given you the grace maybe to now do things that maybe years ago you wouldn't have believed you had the ability to do? Maybe. And right now, I hope you guys have grace for me as I stand in front of you, right? Because I'm here not because I'm going to try to convince you or bring about I'm going to share something that's going to enlighten you. I'm here because I see this chasm, as the song was talking about earlier, this divide. And I will not allow our community to fall into such a division. I believe our differences are what makes us amazing. And we have to learn how to operate with those and learn how to respect each other. And it's because I love you each individually as created by God for a purpose in the world. And I want to be a part of that success story together, right? Each of you has a perfect place, right? And how can we do that together? Mentioned earlier, William Wilberforce. Do you realize in the time frame that he was fighting so ferociously to eradicate the slave trade, he'd only met one slave in his life in England. He'd only met one slave. And it was actually at a poker game he was playing. He was a member of parliament at the time. He was playing this poker game, and then all of a sudden this guy was running out of money, so he said, bring me my slave. And he brought the slave up to the table, and Wilberforce was so disgusted by that one encounter that this person, this human being, was treated in such a way as if he was cattle of no worth. It struck Wilberforce to his core. Now, when he walked out of that poker game, he would have walked past on his way home, likely in the streets, public prostitution. Underage kids were very common in that day in England. It was like that was just the way of life. Women were publicly burned at the stake if they backtalked their husband. Public bullfighting, blood, really bloody things. So you can imagine there was a lot of issues that was happening in England at that time. But for some reason, Wilberforce focused on an issue that was happening thousands of miles away from him that ultimately changed the course of history. And that's why he's been a hero to me. Because what social justice is recognizing an issue that no one else sees. Do you realize here in Carbondale, the Hispanic population has dropped by 10% in the last 10 years? Is that a social justice issue? Maybe. Do we need to evaluate that and take a look and see what's going on? Is it right that hardworking families that built this town to be who they are being pushed down valley and no longer can live in the places that they loved? Is that a social justice issue that needs to be addressed, right? What's happening today is that we need to take responsibility individually and say, how can I be a Wilberforce and see the things maybe that no one else sees that are injustices that are happening around the world? Are you guys with me? All right? Have I said anything offensive yet? Okay, good. So far, so good. Ron's shaking his head, which is great. It's awesome. A hot topic of today that I think is something that should be discussed is immigration. If I can tell you, that's one issue that I feel like is creating probably the biggest division in our community today. I had some buddies that just got back from the border, and he made a really interesting point. He said as he was down there and was talking to several of the locals in the town, the locals mentioned that the border was not actually called a wall in their community, it was called a fence. And I thought about that, and I thought, wow. Here we live in a society where basically there's this idea of creating a wall. And if I was to create a wall with you guys, what would that say? It would say, I want to have nothing to do with you. But if I was to create a fence, it would mean, here's proper boundaries of where I would like for things to be. We still can have communication through fences, right? And so that's one of the big fundamental wrongs that I think is happening in the immigration discussion, is are we creating proper boundaries? Or are we building walls, right? And I believe the narrative that we have to watch ourselves with within our communities is can we simply build appropriate fences? Because appropriate fences is good. They say fences make good neighbors, right? But walls don't. Walls shelter people out and say, I want nothing to do with you. And I thought that was a really fascinating thing. So I'm a property manager, own several properties down in Silt. And many of my tenants are undocumented individuals. And they're outstanding people. They're families, they work hard here in the Valley, awesome people. One of the individuals came to me yesterday, or about a week ago actually, and he was in kind of a panic. And I could tell he hadn't slept in a week. He was just very exhausted, and he'd been working all day. And he said, my wife is due to have a baby. And he said, I found out here in Colorado, if I have a baby here, it's going to cost us $25,000. But if I have the baby in Texas, it only cost us $6,000. And so he said, but my wife is here legally, I'm not. And he said, the problem I'm running into is that my wife's already went to Texas, she's set up with the hospital, she's down there with her sister. I have to drive down there. He said, but if I get pulled over in Texas without my papers, legally they're going to immediately deport me, and I won't be here with my kid. And he said, I'm kind of lost. I just don't know what to do. He said, I don't even know if I'm coming back. He said, I have my RV here, yet on an RV site that I rent out. And this is where I believe us as a community can show compassion, right? Because he's caught in a really bad situation, right? Is it, maybe it would say, hey, sorry, dude, you came here, you dug your own problem, you got to dig yourself out of it, right? Is that how we should be? As individuals, we need to have compassion, right? And so I said to him, I said, listen, man, don't worry about paying the monthly rent that you've been paying me for the RV site. Close up your slides, just pay me $100 a month for a storage lot fee. That's more affordable for you. Go down to Texas, have the baby with your wife. I said, just let's be in touch, right? I showed compassion towards someone that was in a vulnerable position, right? Could I have taken advantage of him at that moment in time? I could have, right? And that's one of the biggest concerns I have when it comes to working with our immigrant community right now, is that many people are taking advantage of the fact that these people don't hold the same rights that you and I do. And so as a conservative, my number one principle is, let's make sure these individuals can live here without fear, can live here because many landlords may not be as compassionate as me and will treat them in a way that would not be fair, right? And so the social justice issue that's happening today is we have thousands of people in our valley that aren't even leaving their homes. We have thousands of people in our valley that are fearful driving to work because they're scared of what may happen. And no person should live in fear in our community, 100%. And so how do we address that? We become the people that we need to be and serve our community the way we would serve them. Now, on the other hand, my conservative approach is I can't enforce the government to show compassion. Why? Because the government cannot have emotion. If the government starts having emotion and starts dealing with issues like this, and then all of a sudden some people get it and some people don't, and some people get free and some people don't, we have to have an equal enforcement of the law. That's the conservative approach. Are you guys with me so far? Kind of? All right, awesome. It's awesome. By the way, where are my time-wise? How many more minutes I got, Peter? 5, 10 more minutes? Perfect, thank you. I lose track when I start talking. You won't throw me out? No, this is great. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Peter, you sit. No, Paul. No, Peter. Peter, you sit on the. You're the chair of the Justice Committee. What is the definition of social justice? Because I tried to find it, and really, it's kind of a fluid term. Like, there's not a real clear, like, this is the definition of social justice. And if you want to think about it for a minute, let me know, because I just want to kind of build a point off of that. If you can let me know what it is.
If I were to give a stab at it, because I didn't think about it ahead of time, finding ways for all people to have the dignity and respect that they deserve would be social justice. And looking towards the future, making sure that the future generations have the same opportunities as in the past.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so I was looking at a storyline that I thought was really fascinating. It's like we all have a wall we have to climb in life, let's say, right? And some of us have a ladder and some of us don't. Prime example of that would be I came here 5 years ago as a young individual right out of the mission field. I spent 14 years in Israel. And my wife and I only had like maybe $250 in our bank account. But my wife's parents loaned us $220,000 to be able to put a down payment on a home here in the Valley. And so we were able to purchase a business down in Silt, which is now running very well, which launched us in a really successful way, right? If I had come here to the Valley 5 years ago and simply just tried to get a job, in which I did, I got a job at Lowe's making $14.50 an hour, and was trying to support my six kids at the time, and my wife at $14.50 an hour. Is the math thing for you guys there? No, it doesn't work. And I was renting, by the way, too, right? It wouldn't have happened, right? So did I have a opportunity handed to me that maybe some kids don't have? Absolutely, right? And that's one of the problems we have in this valley is that a lot of people are striving to try to make it, but no matter how hard you work, you need that kind of that leg up. So I do recognize that some people have generational wealth, right? That helps their children get started on the next level. So that's an element of where I was given a ladder that maybe some kids wouldn't have, right? So that's an important thing to point out. A real important statement I think that maybe be helpful in the differences between conservative versus conservative versus liberal thinking is conservatives believe in equal opportunity. So I would strive as an individual here in the Valley to figure out a creative way to make it so that every child in this valley can have a ladder in the same way I did, right? But I wouldn't be able to say that every child is going to make it over the wall just because they were given a ladder. Does that make sense? So that would be the difference between, so versus a liberal thought process would say, we want to see equal outcome, not equal opportunity. That's not Peter's shaking his head. You disagree? Okay, good. Well, that's what this conversation is about. So you're all about equal ladders, would be the idea, right? Every child in this valley needs a parent that would give $250. No, right. So you guys went, hey, this is not in my notes. I'm going off script here, but this will be fun. I'm working on a nonprofit. We haven't officially launched it yet, but this will be super fun. So the idea of this nonprofit is this. We have to raise an X amount of dollars. We're going to build around 100 small, compact, tiny homes here in the valley. Because you guys think about this. If we built 10,000 more homes in Carbondale, would it be giving housing to our kids? The answer is no. It would just bring in 10,000 more families. We love Western Colorado because it's rural, right? We moved here because we love the mountains. We don't want to see a bunch of skyscrapers and big apartment buildings, and traffic is already bad enough, right? So we have this issue that we're struggling with. We grow extensively with housing, and then we have traffic out the gazoo, but then at the same time, there's no opportunity for our kids here, so how do we balance this out? Well, the problem is our kids can no longer compete in the valley. They cannot afford to live here. So this would be the idea. The nonprofit would be this. We build 100 small homes. We raise about $25 million to launch the nonprofit. What would then happen is, if you're born in the valley, or you've lived here from 10 to over 10 years, in between the ages of 18 to 30, you would qualify to live in these homes. Once you've lived in these homes for 5 to 10 years, you would qualify then for a 75% of return of premium that would come back to you in the form of a down payment on a home. Then you're able to afford to purchase properties here in the valley, right? You're going to be able to compete in the same way I was when I came here, right? Is that eradicating an issue potentially that we're dealing with? Now, our kids are able to afford to live here and not have this massive explosion of growth. just an interesting thought process that I'm playing around with, and I would love some pushback from you guys on that as to why it wouldn't work, and because I'm in the very beginning stages of figuring it out. But that's kind of creating free ideas. Like, how do we create free ideas around injustices that are happening? Because it is unjust that my children have to compete with out-of-town billionaires to buy a home in this valley. It's an injustice, right? Because they'll never be able to avoid do that. And we've worked hard to build this valley to be what it is, right? As conservatives, we believe deeply in freedom. We're wary, I said that word right, worry of forced mandates, right? We believe in freedom over force, right? So we ever see the government overreaching and forcing something, you're going to see massive resistance from the conservative community, right? It's just a fundamental basics of how we run. We also believe, which I think you guys would state this, you can't legislate people into loving each other. Is that true? I think so, right? The hard part here, in this room alone, I would say that there's people that would love to wave an Israeli flag, right? But due to the sensitivity of that, right, they don't. There may be undercover Republicans in this room, believe it or not, I don't know. But they're scared to say it because they're not sure that they would be accepted, right? So far, I've been very accepted. I don't know how it's going to be after this, but I feel like you guys have been great. And by the way, is this helpful? Are y'all learning anything? It's good? Okay, cool. So instead of relying on force, we promote faith-based charities. Like, we don't believe government programs are the number one solution to figuring out things. Let's get faith-based charities towards dealing with food programs and things in the area. Believe in local entrepreneurship, local ownership, local businesses, promote, local-driven economies. I think we could find a lot of common ground on that here locally, right? Equal opportunity, I mentioned this earlier, equal opportunity outside of equal outcome, right? And I think that's where, Peter and I probably need to sit down and discuss it maybe a little more deeply as far as what that term looks like exactly in my mind. But we believe everyone should be handed the equal opportunity. Everyone should have that chance to be able to do things, right? I believe a big fundamental pillar within conservatism is personal responsibility, right? You need to take personal responsibility for your life versus thinking that someone else is going to have to kind of drag you along the way, right? Our job is to remove barriers, not flatten everyone else, right? Number one fundamental thing is give kids better access to schools. Let's give them citizenship so they can work here legally, right? I was talking with some friends of mine the other day. I helped a Dreamer family buy their first home here in the Valley. It was a business. I actually owned the property. It was a business, and I didn't like the position because it was a mobile home park I was in. And I said I didn't like the position I had by being a mobile home owner of the property there because I exercised so much authority over them in regards to what their future would look like. And so, because I could have jacked their rents through the roof, and they're stuck. They have to pay with whatever I tell them to pay. And so I sat down it was only 5 mobile homes in this park that I owned. And I sat down with them and I said, guys, I think it would be best if you bought this. So we figured out a way for them, and they didn't know that they could. They were a immigrant family that was just working really hard. He's a painter, she's a school teacher, and they're working really hard, and we helped them buy their first property, and they've now paid it off, and they're thriving and awesome. I was talking to her yesterday on the phone, and she's due to go and renew her visa, and she is very nervous, right? For good reason. Imagining in a future, this is my thoughts on what a future could look like, where success isn't based on last name or skin color. That's important, right? We all agree there, right? That the future needs to hold individuals, who you are, right? That you're able to have an opportunity to succeed. Technically, I immigrated from Tennessee to come out here to Western Colorado, so I guess you guys can all call me. Trust me, I've felt like an immigrant, to be honest with you. When I ran on the Republican ticket, you should have seen some of the good old boys. I was put through hell. It was brutal. You ain't from around here, son. I didn't realize how strong that feeling was until I was running for office back in the day, and it was tough. But when we get to know our neighbors again, right? It's not about the sign they put in the yard or the flag they wave off their front porch. What if we, if I had a day that I'd love to do is like National Cookie Day for your neighbors, right? Let's just bake cookies for our neighbors, and let's just bring back that community again of what that looks like, right? Because when you meet people face to face, It obliterates the algorithm. Do you guys know what I mean when I say algorithm? Algorithm is we're being fed through the web based on our search history. For you liberals in the room, if you guys were to look up my name, there's a chance you'd find an article that says Caleb's a racist. For conservatives in the room, if you look up my name, you're going to find that I'm a strong, family-loving man, businessman that loves Unitarians. That's what you're going to find, right? So it's good stuff, okay? So I want to leave you guys with this. Social justice isn't about guilt. It's about taking responsibility. It says we believe in freedom and hard work and the dignity of every individual. Then we must all believe in justice. Justice is not a talking point. Justice is an inner conviction, and justice also is an action. Final quote from William Wilberforce is this. He said, "You may choose to look the other way, but you can never again say that you did not know." Thank you, guys.
I'm so close to you, baby, but I'm so far away. There's a silence between us and so much to say. You're my strength, you're my weakness, you're my faith, you're my doubt. We gotta meet in the middle to work this thing out. More love, I can hear our hearts crying. More love, I know that's all we need. More love to flow in between us, to take us and hold us and lift us above. If there's ever an answer, it's more love. We're afraid to be idle, so we fill up the days. We run on a treadmill, keep slaving away, until there's no time for talking about troubles in mind, and the doors are all closed between your heart and mine. More love, I can hear our hearts crying. More love, I know that's all we need. More love to flow in between us, to take us and hold us, lift us above. If there's ever an answer, it's more love. Just look out around you, people fighting their wars. They think they'll be happy when they settle their scores. So let's lay down the weapons that hold us apart. Be still for just a minute. Try to open our hearts. More love, I can hear our hearts crying. More love, I know that's all we need. More love to flow in between us, to take us and hold us, and lift us above. If there's ever an answer, it's more love.
We will now receive an offering for the support of this religious community and its work in the world. You're invited to give generously and joyfully as you are willing and able. Online, you can make a secure donation by going to truu.org and clicking on the offering plate at the bottom of the home page. You can also mail your pledges to the address shown on the slide, or put them in the offering plate as we pass it this morning, and as always. Yeah, it's awful, but we're so grateful for your generosity.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
Please remain seated for our closing hymn.
Which happens to be a round. I received a special request to have more rounds to stretch us all. So let's say we'll sing through it all together twice, the entire thing. And then I would say group 1 over there, group 2 over here, and anyone who wants to fly on group 3 or 4, you may absolutely go for it. But if you feel safer in community singing, group 1 over there, group 2 over here. And then we'll sing in the round groups, I would say through it 4 times, and raise my hand when we're going into the last round, and just sing it all the way to the end. So. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. One more time together. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Group 1 starts. Building bridges between our divisions. And our 2s. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you. Building bridges between our divisions. Building bridges between our divisions. With all of our voices and all You guys rock. Yay.
As you step forward into the coming week, may you be true to your vision while seeking to understand the visions of others. May you follow your dreams while seeking to love others following their own. And may you always remember that no one is free unless everyone is free. Nikki, the chalice, please. These are the words of Elizabeth Sully Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fires of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Finally, please rise in body or spirit and join hands for our sending forth song, One World Home by Jimmy Byrne. And then please stay and join us for coffee.
The joys and the griefs, the colors and beliefs, the sunlight shines upon us all the same. Open minds, loving hearts, helping hands, it's a start. One world home, one world home, one world home. Open minds, loving hearts, helping hands, it's a start. One world home, one world home.